Welcome to Dungeon Master Dive. I'm Chris, or as my kids call me, the Dungeon Dad. If you're about to take on the mantle of Dungeon Master for the first time, or one of your first few times, congratulations. You're in for an unforgettable adventure. But let's be real. Prepping for your first campaign can feel like an oversized and daunting task. That's where this series comes in. We'll go through some of my hard-learned lessons, tips, and tricks I've acquired over my time playing, writing, and dungeon mastering to help you prepare for, run, or create your own one-shot or campaign. From building your world or setting, weaving a compelling story, or managing players and rolling with the unexpected. Whether you're a lore lover, a mechanics master, or just figuring out what an initiative role is, these tips will help you run a campaign your players will hopefully enjoy and one that won't have you hating the DM life. So, grab your notes and let's dive into the art of DM. The other day, I was having a discussion with a longtime friend and player in my live campaign. He recently made the decision to take on a campaign set on an unexplored island in my own homebrew world. So this is going to be his first time being a DM, and he is starting to feel the pressure. We haven't even had a session 0 yet. So this inspired me to make a video talking a little bit about this common occurrence, which is a campaign startup failure. The majority of players and player groups have experienced this. You get your group together, you're all excited to play, and miraculously, you're all on a similar schedule, which we all know scheduling is the original big bad evil guy of D&D. But your sacrificial tribute that was offered up to DM flakes or cancels. Or maybe you make it 1 or 2 sessions and then the campaign starts to feel stale, railroaded, or flimsy. Like they didn't do any prep work at all and the session kind of drags on. Eventually, players aren't enjoying it, they drop out, or the group decides to try a different setting, a different game, or, worst case scenario, they disband altogether. Feeling overwhelmed by your first campaign prep, or one of your first, is totally normal. Between plotting storylines, creating encounters, and fleshing out NPCs, you might feel like you need to account for every possibility. But here's the truth. No matter how much you prepare, your players will make a choice, go a direction, or kill an NPC you weren't expecting. Then you find yourself sitting there, staring at pages of notes that are no longer valid or usable. In fear of this very scenario, many newer DMs will attempt to make up for this in prep, plotting out every possible choice, direction, or action that their players might take, which any experienced DM is going to tell you is impossible. Just when you think you know what's going to happen next, your players are going to surprise you. This over-preparation can lead to DM burnout, even before starting your first real session. Today, we're talking about DM burnout, that paralyzing feeling when the effort of preparation feels like too much. And I'm going to share 3 key tips to simplify your prep and avoid overthinking, and finally get your game off the ground. So let's dive in. First off, why does burnout happen? As a new DM, it's easy to fall into the trap of trying to control everything. You want your campaign to be perfect, so you overanalyze every detail, imagining every possible choice the players could make. And before you know it, you're buried under a mountain of notes and ideas, and you still feel unprepared. The result? You're too exhausted or anxious to run the game at all. The truth is, waiting until you feel fully prepared will only delay your campaign indefinitely. Instead, focus on flexibility over perfection. And here's how. Number 1, plot points, not detailed paths. Instead of scripting a rigid storyline, focus on key plot points that your players should discover or work toward. Think of these as anchor points. Moments like uncovering an ancient relic, meeting a critical NPC, or discovering a secret plot against another NPC. These plot points should be simple and directed towards a climactic event down the road. Don't stress the details and planning a specific path the characters should follow. It's not going to happen. Instead, if the opportunity arises for a point to be revealed, you can utilize it because the specifics don't have to line up. The beauty of this approach is that these moments can happen anywhere in any order. You don't need to dictate how players reach them, just be ready to adapt when they do. Trying to force your players into a specific path can feel a little bit like herding cats and takes the fun out of their journey. Letting them wander while still allowing them to move towards meaningful moments keeps the story progressing and frees you from overplanning every step of the journey. Number 2, generalized encounters. Encounters can be a huge source of stress. You may feel you need to design different battles for every possible location or scenario your players might encounter. Instead, I suggest prep generalized encounters that you can drop in anywhere. For example, instead of bandits in a forest encounter, create a more flexible bandit ambush. Adjust it to fit wherever the players run into enemies, whether it's a forest, a mountain pass, or a shady back alley behind the tavern. Think of it like a cookie cutter that's made up of creatures or beings that your characters are encountering. It doesn't matter what map you place under this cookie cutter, whether it's sugar, peanut butter, or chocolate chip. Your creatures can drop into it and function the way that the cutter should. This will open up your options for where you're more comfortable with your players going. Use modular elements like environmental hazards or NPC reinforcements to keep things dynamic without requiring a lot of extra prep. You can have a small prepared list of modular elements and their stats already prepared. So if a guard joins the fight, a barrel of oil explodes, or rocks fall from above, you already know the effect that these things are going to have on any given encounter, as well as the players. Flexibility allows you to use your prep time more efficiently. You're creating encounters that serve the story, no matter where your players wander, so reducing your workload while still keeping things engaging. Number 3, NPCs, personalities, not scripts. Creating NPCs can feel daunting, especially if you think you need to script everything they could possibly say that might be relevant to your players. But you don't need a novel-length backstory or perfectly rehearsed dialogue. Let's face it, we can't all do accents and voices over a wide range either. Instead, focus on 2 things. 1, their personality. They might be gruff and suspicious, overly cheerful, or wise and patient. This personality allows you to explore how they would respond and interact with your players. This also allows each NPC to feel different from the last. If you're like me, and you don't excel at doing different voices, their enthusiasm, quirks, or traits can set them apart. It doesn't hurt to have a small, general idea of their backstory. You don't have to go in depth for them, just enough to give you a feel for who they might be and why they act the way they do. This can help you fall into character when your players interact with that NPC. Second, note a few key topics they should discuss, like the location of a hidden shrine or their hatred for the local politician. This gives you another chance to drop your story beats and plot points that you absolutely want to come into play. Your NPCs can be an excellent source of information to help your players find purpose or a task to do next. The more personality you give them, and the more interesting topics they talk about, the more your players will want to talk to them. This becomes an easy way to pass information and progress your plot points. When you focus on their traits rather than exact words, you're free to improvise based on what your players ask or how the conversation flows, just like making small talk. Players rarely ask the questions you expect, so over-preparing can backfire. By focusing on personality traits and key topics, you'll stay adaptable and make your NPCs feel more natural and part of the world. So here's my final thoughts. Burnout happens when you feel like you have to do everything perfectly before starting your campaign. If you're like me, that strive for perfect can really slow you down and burn you out. But the truth is, running a session is messy, unpredictable, and above all, collaborative. So remember, focus on adaptable plot points. Prep generalized encounters that can work anywhere. Keep your NPCs simple and flexible, and don't be afraid to give them some personality. Don't let the fear of being underprepared hold you back. Start small, trust your instincts, and let your players surprise you. A lot of time, you'll prepare certain paths or ideas, then your players will give you backstories, and those ideas will shift. You'll receive something you didn't expect, and it'll intrigue you and possibly the players more. Accept them and weave them into your plot points, but there's more on that in another video to come. Running a campaign is a learning experience, and you'll improve with every session. So take a deep breath and let the story begin. Happy adventuring. If this video helped, drop a like and share it with your fellow DMs. Subscribe for more tips to level up your DM game. Until next time.